Hey, y'all. Welcome back to part three of our discussion with Dr. LaToro Yates, our first interview on Journey with Dr. J, a special series on Ready, Set, Grow, College, and beyond. We're closing out this powerful series by shifting from survival mode to living and growing on purpose. We talk clarity, intention, and the kind of joy that comes from walking your own path with confidence. Let's get into it. Let's talk about some lessons learned and strategies that students and families can take into consideration. I find more often than not, the gap between that first and second generation is awareness and then also that building of capacity. Sometimes you go through a program and you just be so glad to get through it that you don't actually reflect on what that experience entailed or
Sure.
share that information. And then the people who are coming up behind us have to go through and learn the same lessons.
That's shame on us. If that next generation of students that come through, in my family have student loans, that's because they wanted to go a route that differed from the framework that we've created for my family. Because when you
Mhm.
go for your master's, any type of education after that, then that's where you should theoretically take out the most debt. So if you go through undergrad and you can keep that number below, I would say $20,000 in today's time, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But it just have to be smarter decisions because someone graduating undergrad with $50,000, $75,000 undergraduate in debt to go away to a school, to me, there's a much better way to do that. Students are falling in under mountains of debt. And what is happening is it's prolonging the first purchase of a car, the first purchase of a house, first purchase of a washing machine, like there are even there are some generations that are now even thinking about dating habits, prolonging like how those interactions will happen. Like when I met Stephanie 20 almost 24 years ago or so, my wife, I didn't say to her like, I mean, I guess we were probably thinking about credit scores back then, but it wasn't kind of like, wait, what's your debt number? Like, like because if that number is if between two folks that if that debt number is $150,000, like how is that feasible? Like how is that even possible?
The importance and impact of these financial decisions is definitely something that students and families need to take into consideration. I can say from my own experience that having six figure student loan debt with a PhD, it still has a financial impact, especially if you don't secure employment immediately after or even before graduation. What are some key considerations that families and students should keep in mind?
I do think it's very important for families to want to help their child go away to school. The number one factor in this strategy is to graduate undergrad with the least amount of student debt possible. Secondly, the type of school you graduate from does matter 100%. I will say that and I mean that. But if we're talking about the difference from graduating from school A and school B, it's going to be a difference of me taking out or you taking out an additional $75,000 in loans to go there. Even for graduate school, I would go with the lower cost school because it's going to be based on the internships that a student does, what type of research, what's happened outside of the classroom, interdisciplinary learning, all these different opportunities, study abroad, being a part of student government, running student clubs, athletics. Like there's so many other factors that are involved in understanding the prestige of an institution or how a university's reputation can enhance your opportunity when you go into the job market. So, for example, I was an All American football player in college, high school, did very well playing sports. And I was a captain my senior year in high school. I was a captain, last couple of years on the football team. When I tell you, in close to, I'm about 27 years in my career, I
Mhm.
have never interviewed for a position. And at the bottom of my CV, that's now about 12 pages, someone is always going to find that I was a captain of the football team at St. Peter's College, and I was an All American football player. It is. I have never had an interview, and that did not come up. So
Mhm.
then what comes up is that graduating from a Jesuit institution, maybe I'm going for a job at another Jesuit institution, or maybe it's someone who graduated from one of the 28 Jesuit institutions. So the name of the college comes up in that way. There are so many factors that can be involved in how a student can enhance their academic profile. And graduating with the highest GPA possible is probably always the best route to get it done.
I should have known that the GPA would sneak its little way in there.
Had
It
to.
it always
Yes,
it
yes.
always finds a
My
way in.
I like to tease my niece who just graduated Howard University Law School,
Mhm.
and by saying, I am the highest ranking academic official in this building. I finished my PhD at Seton Hall. I believe it was a 3.89. So I think I had two A minuses out of my entire time studying for my doctorate. And I
Mhm.
said to my niece, and I'm playing, but I'm dead serious. Like, no, I'm that person. I'm him. So it's going to be a lot to knock me off the throne. That's how I look at it. And I think it was a 3.65, I believe, for my master's. But
Mhm.
that's coming from struggling undergrad. I mean, I did
Yeah.
everything possible my last 2 years at St. Peter's, and I think I finished with a 2.89 or something like that. But it matters
Mhm.
because that 2.89 impacted the type of graduate programs that I could apply to.
Yeah.
And then really not undertaking the rigor within the program that's available. It wasn't that St. Peter's didn't have a strong accounting program or management program. There were so many opportunities within the structure of those programs, but I was doing what was necessary for me to get a good grade and go, what's the next thing? I didn't do internships. I didn't do research with a professor. I didn't work on business problems with professors who were working on consulting projects with big firms. I wasn't doing those kind of things. So
Mhm.
when I graduated, I didn't have the rigor behind me that was needed to be able to do well on a GRE or a GMAT. I didn't have the funds to do the review courses or all those things. So again, my ministry now is really just helping younger folks understand what is it that you actually want to do. And it's okay if you don't know. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have to know that at 18. You don't have to know that at 22. Like, just helping working through a decision tree that's going to lead to a career and something that you're happy to do. Like, I walk around on Kane University's campus, and I'm happy. Like, I look out the window of my office, like I am happy. The things I'm able to do, and this is considered work. It's amazing for me. So I want that for family members. I want that for people in my community.
I think that's awesome, and a number of points that you hit on. I love that piece of acknowledging you might not know exactly what you want to do, and that's fine. Being open to exploring what your passions are, and ultimately, like a lot of people end up in jobs or industries that they are not passionate about. They have the capacity to do the work because they have the awareness and the knowledge, but they're also miserable at work. So finding joy in your work, like if you can get that, that is definitely ideal versus just focusing solely on the money or even the reputation or like the exposure that you might get from a position. Because I know a lot of people in a lot of high ranking positions
Sure.
and they have a lot of power and influence. And then when I talk to them, they're talking about their illnesses and how they're struggling personally, but they're
Yes.
performing at work, but
100%.
personally, they are miserable. So finding that balance, recognizing that you might not always know, but being willing to explore your options. Another piece that you mentioned was sometimes as students, we might focus solely on what's in the syllabus, but there's also like a lot more available to you that you can continue to build your knowledge and awareness and your skills and capacity, even if you end up going into another field.
Yes.
That's one of the things that I do like about the undecided space is just being able to explore, but also recognizing that some of these courses can be applied in so many different majors, which also tells me that some of the same skills are required for multiple different industries. We just have to be
Yes.
willing to see how they can be repurposed. What would you say are the foundations of education?
Looking from a lens of flexibility, 100%, as far as being able to write, being able to, this may sound almost silly a little bit, but it's reading, math, and comprehension. Those are the foundations of education. And it's
Mhm.
really just thinking about things from a rigor standpoint. And what I mean by rigor is going beyond studying just to get a grade. So if you go through, like, say, for example, it's easy what I'm about to say to think about it from a doctoral lens. There are a lot of people who go through doctoral programs just for the letters, and they want to get those
Yeah.
letters as fast as possible. But if you do not change fundamentally how you think as a person, going through doctoral programs, you learn what's called a chain of reasoning. And that chain of reasoning, I think about that. If I'm gonna drive down the hill and go to the store, I'm thinking about it. It's a way of thinking. If you're not a changed person from the way you understand information after you go through a doctoral program, then it was honestly to me a waste of a moment in time that you would never be able to get back. But I now think about, I wish I would have had that understanding from when I was in elementary school, in middle school, in high school, in undergrad, because it's opportunities to explore and learn. And at every stage of growth, being able to change fundamentally who you are as a person based off of a willingness and flexibility to engage with material that you don't understand.
I appreciate you outlining the foundations of education. People don't always realize that they are actually important, not only academically, but individually, professionally, etc. Thank you too for speaking to the importance of rigor, what that actually means academically, as well as just acknowledging the impact of education on how you think, how you process information, and that importance of critical thinking. What would you say is an advantage that younger people have today?
There's such an advantage for younger people today because you literally can go on the internet and you could go on LinkedIn and find like a CEO of a company and send that person a message, and you will be surprised that that person will take the time to write you back or have somebody write you back and set up a moment to have a 5 minute chat with that person. And then all it is for you to ask that one question, like, whoa, how did you become the CEO of this Fortune 500 company? There are so many folks that are willing to do that. I get contact. Well, I'm nowhere near that level, but I get contacted all the time about folks who want to know about enrollment and admissions and that kind of stuff, or leadership. And I do it as much as possible, where I would take time to mentor folks and really just and work with them. And I'm happy about that. I'm happy to see a lot of folks that I've worked with over the past that are now have caught up with me and will pass me one day. And I want that to happen.
It's been a great discussion. We've covered a number of things today, including the need to make informed financial decisions. I appreciate that strategy that your family employs, where you pretty much aim to have the least amount of student loan debt, if any, during undergrad, and preserve that loan capacity for your graduate degrees, as well as being mindful of one's academic brand and reputation, and how some of the things that students may not focus on as much, such as extracurricular activities, are also some of the things that really can allow for connection and rapport building, which can be essential to whether or not you get hired, among other things. And that's a wrap on our three-part journey with Dr. Yates. I hope you're walking away with more than insights. I hope you're walking with intention. Whether you're just getting started or realigning your path, you deserve joy and academic clarity. And if you haven't listened to parts 1 and 2 of our interview with Dr. Yates, definitely tap in. Whatever you're going through, there's something for you. Stay connected at jmfacademy.com. Follow us across social media platforms. Book a session at calendly.com/JMF Academy so that we can work together. Remember, you're not alone. This is a journey. Keep growing, keep showing up, and I'll see you in the next conversation.